Hey, it's Keith from Trigger Happy. Going to do an update video. Haven't done one for a long time on this truck. This is a 2022 Toyota Tundra TRD Off-Road SR5 Premium. This has basically every option you can put on an SR5 truck with the exception of a moonroof. So I'm not going to get into the story of this truck. That's for other videos that I've done in the past. Let's just talk about how it's holding up. So I've had this truck for 1.5 years. It has 26,000 plus miles on it. I've driven basically every mile of that. If you want to talk about compared to the last generation, and I've done that before, this truck is superior in almost every way, save for a couple. The powertrain is better, it's more responsive, it's quicker, it has more horsepower, more torque, it tows better, it goes off-road better. All those things are an upgrade over the past generation. And I know people continuously complain about the lack of a V8. Well, guess what? The V8 and half-ton trucks is pretty well done. So that argument just doesn't hold up for me anymore. You're gonna have to live with the V6s and 4 cylinders from now on, because that's what we have. So how is this one done? It's done fine, other than the initial problems. Powertrain seems to be pretty smooth. I have had 2 TSBs done on this truck. Both were transmission related. One was for a surging issue that still kind of persists. The other one was for kind of this, you come rolling to a stop and you may not stop all the way, and then you need to get on it, and it will stay in 5th, 6th gear sometimes when it needs to gear down. They did take a lot of that play out of there, so it does seem to get back on the throttle and get moving pretty quick, but there was a real delay sometimes and it was problematic, but they do seem to have fixed that. I have changed dealers from the dealer that I purchased it from and did all the initial service. It is being serviced by another dealer, and they found some interesting things on this truck relating to the problems I had initially. Number one, the front air dam is now missing on this truck from when they took it apart. I don't think I care to go back to that dealership to fight them over it, so I just do not have the front air dam anymore. I don't know what happened to it, but it's gone. Number two, the first service I had done at the other dealer, this truck was 3 quarts low on oil and it had not been leaking oil. So the previous dealer just simply didn't put enough oil in it. So that was pretty frustrating. So, but hopefully this new dealer will be able to take care of things a little better. Let's get into the negatives I've had with this truck, and they are recurring. And Toyota has not seemed to fix these problems. So number one, kind of a really common problem, and it's all interior related. So talked about this in the past. This is a lost cause. Nobody can fix this. It's junk. It's just terrible. How that ever got out of QC, I don't know. I've talked about this before. That's not going to get fixed. Number two, this seat has been replaced. This piece has been replaced before because it cracked. Well, guess what? It's cracking again. I'm about 250 pounds. I'm not a huge dude. I'm not small, but the seat, look at, it's holding up fine. There's some creasing here, but the seat has been fine. This piece, second one to break, come on. The biggest problem, and I've talked about this before, and so have other YouTubers. TRD John, I noticed, has had problems with this. I've tried double-sided tape. I have not tried the weather stripping that people are putting here. But this window continuously rattles. They've replaced this molding before. They've done all sorts of things at both dealerships. This is a real problem. You can see this. Trying to keep this track quiet, trying to keep this window from shaking, but on a long drive, it's a real problem. And I think TRD John kind of figured this out. This window is not seated properly. It has play to it. You can kind of push your hand. If you're driving down the road, you can kind of put your hand up here and make the noise stop. Or alternatively, I'll just kind of lay my thumb on this and it keeps it from making, this is the noise you hear going down the road. It's awful. It's just awful. And now I've got another issue with noise, and it is windshield wipers, which sounds crazy, but I'm gonna shut the door here. when you turn these windshield wipers on, and yeah, I know it's dry, but I'll lubricate. Okay, this is the third pair of wiper blades that have been on this truck, and I have more. I'll reach back here. I have another set of whatever these are, Bosch Icons. It's the third or fourth different manufacturer. I don't know what this is. This glass is clean. This glass has been clayed to try to take any imperfections off of it, and the noise never stops. That's stupid. I don't understand what the problem is, but it just will not stop doing that. So here's fuel economy, real world fuel economy on real world roads, 19.8 miles per gallon. I've seen this over 21 several times on relatively flat ground for a long time, but that's about as good as it's going to get, and I'm pretty pleased with that. Lastly, the infotainment sometimes pairs with your phone instantaneously. Many times it takes a few seconds, but more often lately, it has real problems pairing with my iPhone, which is the same phone I've had since this truck was purchased. It will just come up with a continue, like retry, cancel. No matter what you push, it will continue coming back until it finally connects. And sometimes that can take 10 or 15 minutes. I don't know what that's all about. So maybe needs an over-the-air update. I know it sounds like I'm complaining a lot about this truck, and I am. You know, for 60 grand in a Toyota product, it's disappointing in some ways. The quality control is not what I expect from a Toyota product. And I would think that if the big wigs in Japan came over and saw some of these actual issues, there would be some things changed, because I've never had a JDM car made in Japan that had problems. Never, not one time. But these American-made trucks, I don't know. And I hate to rag on the guys in the factory or whoever it is, but you've kind of missed some pretty big things that seem to be problems on a lot of these trucks. And I still get the occasional email with people buying these trucks brand new and still having major problems. So overall, I'm going to give this truck still a B, but I'm going to say it's a B minus. Some of these problems are minor nuisances, but there's enough of them that I'm really annoyed with it. Am I going to get rid of the truck? Absolutely not. The car market's terrible, and this thing's, you know, 2/3 paid for, so I'm not going to do that. But they're going to have to make some improvements in the next couple years to some of these quality issues if they want people like me to continue buying their products. They look great. This is a gorgeous truck. I don't care what anybody says. I get complimented on it all the time. But until they improve some of these quality problems, I'm not sure I'm coming back to a Tundra in the future. And that's really hard for me to say, but they got to get stuff fixed. So Keith from Trigger Happy. We'll see you next time.